Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 54 units of real estate. So, I'm trying to repivot my portfolio, and I want to 1031 exchange my 20 unit apartment complex because the cash flow is very variable depending on the capex, and I built up a lot of equity in that forced appreciation in that property, and the best use of this property right now is to 1031 exchange it into probably a newer A-class asset. So, I might buy a B-class apartment complex. So maybe from going from a 20 unit C-class, I might go to a 5 unit or 6 unit or 10 unit B-class, or a 5 unit A-class, for example. So I want to trade up my 1960s property to get something newer in maybe the 2000s, ideally. Or I might buy brand new construction if I were to 1031 exchange into my Huntsville, Alabama properties where I'm buying from Lennar cash. Right? So I want to decrease the age of my portfolio, because when you have an older property in the 1960s, you have plumbing issues, you have HVAC issues, you might have to replace the roof, you might have to replace the siding because of termites. The older the property, when you're in C-class, you have more capex versus something brand new, right? So this is the phase of a real estate investor. People start off as C-class apartment complexes because you can force a lot of appreciation. But once you force the appreciation, the cash flow isn't that great because it's being eaten up by the capex. So you want to 1031 exchange into a B-class asset, and once you've done B-class assets, you 1031 exchange that to A-class assets, and then maybe end up in new construction, or you become a developer. So at my phase, as I'm pivoting towards financial freedom, I want to sell this, 1031 exchange it. So I reached out to my property managers. So I reached out to a property manager who is currently managing the property, as well as my 26 unit property manager, and just floated it out there. So to give them opportunity to see if someone bites. So my 26 unit apartment complex property manager, who I believe are stronger, if I'm being honest, they're also brokers. So most property managers are typically brokers because that's how they make their money. They don't care about getting 8% of $18,000. It's nothing, right? I think that's maybe 25, or was that $1,500 a month times 12. I mean, it's probably nothing for them. That's what, 18,000. What they want to do is they make money because they served as my general contractor, so he got a 5% fee for the renovation costs, and on top of that they get their 3% commission if I were to sell this. So if I were to sell this for $1 million, they get $30,000. So they reached out to me and said, hey, we know 5 other brokers that we worked with before in the past. We bought from them and we also sold to them. Because I remember they asked me for my 26 unit, what's your plan of this property? Are you planning on selling it? If so, we can help you sell it. Or are you planning on keeping it? And I told them I wanted to keep it because its cash flowing is doing well. They weren't happy to hear that, but who knows, if the capex becomes bad again on this 26 unit, I might consider selling and doing a 1031 exchange again, right? So they kind of know that most people who buy a C-class older apartment complex, we're going to fix it up. They'll get their money as a contracting fee, and then people eventually will want to 1031 exchange or sell it to trade up. Right, so they know that's their business model, and they get their $30,000 payday. So they just said that, hey, we know 5 brokers. We talked to 2 of them, and 2 of them know buyers where that's their buy box. So they're interested in 20 and 30 unit apartment complexes, and their price point is around $1 million to $2 million. So this kind of fits their box. And they're just well, we can't share them information until we sign a broker agreement between me and them to say that they have exclusivity to my property to sell it on the MLS for a certain period. I just said that hey, can I just start off with 3 months and see how we go from there? Because maybe in 3 months they don't sell it, but my other property manager, who's a broker, might have a good strong tenant or buyer, and I'd give her exclusivity for 3 months, and they just go back and forth. So they said, yeah, it's fine. So I just signed the contract because I don't want to be locked into one broker, and I might want to sell this off market too, because I buy my deals off market. So maybe I'll just sell it off market as well, and really go from there, right? Just really, I can post this property myself on LoopNet, but let's just see, right? Maybe they can get me a strong buyer. Maybe they have a 1031 exchange buyer, and just go from there, right? Worst case, I just say no, and I can list it myself on LoopNet and just try to market it off market. So that's kind of the mindset that I have going in, right? That's the mindset that I have really going in. So I'll see. And then they said that they'll I have what I think the value is, and they said that they'll do some research and they'll give me their opinion what the value should be. But basically, the broker agreement is 6%, so 3% to them and 3% to whoever the other agent or other broker is, which is, I think, is standard. I think 3% is a little on the higher end, but this is a lower purchase price or sales price. Like, even if it's $1 million, it's $30,000 each. So they said that they'll reach out the moment I sign the contract. They'll reach out to them and see what they're feeling, right? So for me, I'm motivated to sell, but like I just need to sell this over the next 5 years, and I'm good because I have a 10-year fixed loan. My real estate portfolio can support its negative cash flow right now for all the capex. So I'm in no rush, right? But if someone is willing to pay me more than I'm expecting, and maybe they're okay doing a large down payment, maybe they want to do a 1031 exchange, or maybe they just want the tax benefits and they have a strong portfolio that's paid off that cash flows a lot, so they can afford to buy a deal that maybe it takes time to stabilize to get the cash flow even stronger. So yeah, we'll see who bites, because a lot of people like buying 20-30 units and around that $1 million price point, which is my property. So we'll see how it happens and how it bakes out. And a lot of times I'll validate they have proof of funds and hopefully they have experience. But usually I don't like selling. I don't like brokers, if I'm being honest, because I'd rather go direct to the seller, because I want to talk to you directly, right? I either talk to my broker, who talks to their broker, who talks to them. I'd rather just talk to the buyer directly. But like I said, I'll give them a shot. I've never sold a property. Well, I sold my mobile home park. Didn't have the greatest experience of them, but let's see how this goes, right? Maybe they're more competent and they have more connections, right? And they say that they like to reach out as a pocket listing first before we list this on the MLS. And once we list it on the MLS, anyone can approach them, right? So we'll see, right? We'll see where this goes. And I'll be honest, a lot of the brokers will say it's a 6% fee, but you just can raise your price by 6% and it'll cover. So if I had to pay $60,000 in fees, you just can raise the price by that much and it'll break even for the most part. So basically the buyer pays the broker's fees, if I'm being honest. So from there, I'll see, right? And then if I do 1031 exchange, I told them if they have a good deal, a good B class, A class asset, let's just say it's a good 5-unit A class apartment complex that it's a new construction, I'd be open to it, right? It depends what the rents are and what the income is, but I'd be open to it because it's newer. Or get a B class and maybe the rents are $1,000 a door, and I'd be open to it. So we'll see what I get, but if not, then I can 1031 exchange, because when you do a 1031 exchange, you put your money in some some escrow account, and then from there you have 45 days to identify a property. And then, so for me, it's easier to identify new construction from Lennar, because it's already built, there's inventory. Then you have 180 days to close, which isn't bad, right? So for me, I'd probably identify 5 properties and try to close on them, and then once it's done and being built, you just close on it and then you're good. So for sure I could buy some new construction from Lennar, because they're always building, there's a bunch of inventory. But maybe I'll be open to like I said, buying a B class or an A class apartment complex in Oklahoma City, and then my property managers will then manage that one as well. So now I go from 2 property managers, one in Oklahoma, one in Enid, to just 1. So that's kind of my goal, and I want to simplify that portfolio. Or even if I sell it, go to Huntsville, that's another property manager there. So I'm losing a property manager in any case. So yeah, let's see what they bite, and maybe I might have someone that has a 1031 exchange. And I think someone told me this on my comment on YouTube, so thank you. They told me, you know what, just list it, and you might get a crazy person who wants to do a 1031 exchange and they don't mind overpaying a little bit, so sell it, right? Because each seller has different motivations, a different reason to sell, or different reason to buy. So if someone's willing to overpay a little bit because he wants to defer his capital gains tax, maybe they'll buy my deal, right? And I'll get a little more than I was expecting. So if not, I can wait. If I don't get the price I want, I can wait until I get the price I want and be patient. So that's how kind of the game is. So I'll kind of let you guys know my experience, but a lot of buyers are flaky, right? My mobile home park, super flaky. People try to syndicate, raise money, doesn't pan out. I don't like those type of people, right? I just want to buy people who they have the funds and they'll just take down the deal. But I get my mobile home park was more of a larger capital expense to manage it. So, obviously you got to raise money versus the apartment, not as much, right? 25% down, 30% down of $1 million, 300,000. And for the most part, it's a turnkey because I fixed up most of the units. So we'll see how that goes, right? Like why I don't like my 20 unit is because it's all one bedroom. It's not ideal. You ideally want a mix of 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms, or all 2 bedrooms. So if I were to learn that's like my 26 unit, it's half 1 bedroom, half 2 bedrooms, and it's doing better in terms of occupancy. Also, like the rents are a little too low, right? Like the market rent's about $500. So I wouldn't go in a market where the rents are below $1,200 a month. I learned this from Cody Davis, because if the fridge breaks, whether the rent is $500, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, it costs $600 to replace the fridge. So if your rent's $5,000, hey, $600 is not too bad. But if your rent is like $600 or $500, that's like all your rent for that month, and that's what's happening to me. So like I said, not ideal for me. And from there, it's just really about seeing who bites. So I'll document my journey. I'll show you guys like what I'm going through and the whole process. After I close, I'm not gonna document as transparently, during the escrow process. But if it fails and falls through, I'll share you guys why it failed and why it fell through and what my thoughts are, so you guys can follow along with me, right? And then once I do that, I want to do my 1031 exchange, and like I said, I have 45 days to identify three good new builds in Lennar, or an apartment, or hopefully a B class and A class apartment. So we'll see what I get and who bites, and if it makes sense. So from there, it's just really about trading the asset class up to something younger, something newer, and less headache. Because if you have, at this point, I don't want 20 units paying $500 in rent. That's only $8,000. Let's call it, that's $10,000 a month. Versus if I get 5 units paying $2,000 each, it's the same rent, but less units, less toilets, less tenants, less headache. But if one is vacant, then you're down $2,000. So, this is a natural progression of being a real estate investor. Like, the return on equity is not that great. So the best use to get a better return on equity is to do a 1031 exchange and buy something else, right? I can buy something cash, like 1 cash and 2, with a decent down payment, and there'll be newer properties. Or I can 1031 exchange into like, $1 million, B class asset or A class asset. It's newer and it's more stable. So we'll see how that goes, right? And if you have an older building, the insurance is a little more expensive typically as well. So if you have something newer, your insurance will be less. And your financing options for 5 units, you have more options when you're financing a 5 unit versus like 20 plus. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But this is the second time I'm selling. And if I sell my single family home in the Bay Area, I'm probably gonna sell that myself. It was gonna be for sale by owner. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we can go from there. So anyways, hopefully you found value from this video. And I want to document my journey as a real estate investor through all phases, right? So I scaled, documented that, and now I'm optimizing, and I'm probably gonna have to sell. So I document that. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any comments. I'd love to answer your questions and comments up to a certain point. And if you want to send me an email, if you want to join my school community on a free trial, if you want to get a landlord quote through steadily, if you want to join my course or mentorship, click on my link tree down below. You'll see all the links there. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.